Is it possible that one unexpected moment, hidden behind the glitz of a sold-out concert, could change how we see our idols forever? Could a single glance, a hug in the shadows of the stage, mean more than 1,000 rehearsed gestures? And how did the quiet presence of Jungkook's mother spark a reaction from Jin that left thousands teary-eyed and speechless? It was supposed to be just another grand night in BTS's triumphant return to the stage after a long pause. Seoul was buzzing. Armies flooded the Olympic Stadium, their light sticks shimmering in unison like a sea of stars, waiting to witness their beloved seven perform live once again. The air was electric, a mix of anticipation and nostalgia, and every fan in that arena knew that something magical was going to happen. But no one, absolutely no one, could have predicted the moment that would break the internet, the moment when Jin, freshly returned from his military service, stepped down from the spotlight and into a story that would touch millions across the globe. The concert was already in full swing when it happened. Jungkook had just finished his solo set, his voice raw and shimmering with emotion. The crowd erupted in applause, chants echoing his name. And then, as if guided by something unseen, Jin turned away from center stage. He walked, not with his usual dramatic flair, but slowly, meaningfully, toward the left wing, where a modest figure stood tucked just behind the velvet barrier. Trying to remain unseen, IT was Jungkook's mother. The cameras didn't catch it at first. The moment was too genuine, too unexpected. But fans seated near that section noticed. Phones were raised, gasps whispered, hands clutched to hearts. Jin reached her, bowed low in deep respect, an unmistakable sign of Korean reverence, and then, in front of thousands, embraced her. Not for the show, not for the headlines, just because in that moment, nothing else mattered. What did they say? No one heard the words, but the emotion painted on both their faces said more than a microphone ever could. Jungkook's mother, known for being notoriously private, wiped a tear as she smiled at Jin, and he, Seokjin, the worldwide handsome, the funny guy, the elder brother of BTS, held her hand as if to say, "Thank you. For him. For everything." The arena fell into a hush. Even the cheering paused, puzzled by the sudden shift in mood. But then the realization spread like wildfire, a wave of collective emotion rushing through the crowd. Fans began to cry, not out of sadness, but from the sheer humanity of it all. The idol on stage wasn't just an entertainer anymore. He was a son, a friend, a brother who understood the gravity of sacrifice and support. Why would Jin do this now? Why, in the middle of a meticulously timed show, risk disrupting the flow for something so personal? Perhaps because some moments can't wait. Perhaps because in the whirlwind of fame and lights and global domination, these rare slivers of sincerity are what keep BTS grounded and what keep fans so fiercely loyal. Social media exploded within minutes. Hashtag Jin and Jungkook's mom trended globally. Theories swirled, some claiming it was planned, others insisting it was completely spontaneous. But those who followed BTS from their humble beginnings knew the truth. Jin, ever the protector, had watched Jungkook grow up. From a shy 15-year-old to a global superstar, and the silent figures behind him, his family, had always remained respectfully in the shadows. Until tonight, the narrative deepened when later, backstage videos emerged showing Jungkook himself tearing up as he walked off stage and caught sight of the embrace. He didn't interrupt. He didn't perform. He simply watched, hand to mouth, overwhelmed by the scene. Was he moved because his two worlds, idol life and family, collided in such a tender way? Or because Jin, who once helped him learn to live away from home as a teenager, now stood with the woman who gave him life? Fans dissected every angle, every facial expression, trying to uncover more about the relationship between Jin and Jungkook's family. Had they remained close during Jin's military service? Was there a deeper story yet untold? One thing was certain, this wasn't a PR stunt. The rawness, the authenticity, those things can't be faked. News outlets from Korea to New York ran stories on it. Emotional headlines like, Jin's gentle tribute to Jungkook's mother melts hearts worldwide, and the hug that broke the internet plastered entertainment feeds for days. Even non-AROS found themselves unexpectedly moved. Comment sections were flooded with people admitting they'd never seen a celebrity act so selflessly, so humbly on stage. But perhaps what touched fans the most was what came the next day. Jin took to Weverse. Not to clarify, not to explain, but simply to write, "Some thanks are too big for words, but I tried." 7 words. Enough to say everything. Why do moments like these resonate so deeply? Because they remind us that behind every global sensation, every record-breaking tour, every Billboard-topping album, are people. People with families. With mothers who worry, who sacrifice, who quietly cheer from backstage. And friends, brothers, really, who know how much that support means. This moment wasn't part of the set list. It wasn't rehearsed or designed for applause. But it became the most talked about scene of the night, precisely because it felt like something out of a dream, a fleeting instant when fame stepped aside for family, when the heart led the way. So what now? Will BTS include more family moments in future shows? Will fans get a glimpse into these behind-the-scenes bonds that have kept the group so unbreakable all these years? No one knows. And maybe it's better that way. Maybe some stories are more powerful when they're left half-told, carried by the memories of those lucky enough to witness them in real time. One thing's for sure. The next time Jin steps onto that stage, the crowd will see him not just as a performer, but as a man who understands what it means to honor the hands that raise the people we love. And maybe, just maybe, they'll hold their own loved ones a little closer. Was it just a hug? Or was it a reminder, beautiful and sudden, that even in a world ruled by screens and spectacle, the quietest gestures still hold the loudest meaning? And in that sense, maybe Jin gave us more than a performance that night. He gave us a truth we didn't know we needed. That love, especially the kind passed quietly from one generation to the next, always finds a way to shine. Even under the brightest lights, as dawn broke over Seoul the next morning, fans around the world were still replaying the moment. Not the encore, not the choreography, but that moment. Jin reaching out to Jungkook's mother, bridging the space between the stage and reality, a quiet scene that said everything without needing to shout. What many initially thought would be another standard concert highlight became a permanent marker in BTS's already emotion-laced legacy. But the story didn't end there. Behind the curtain of idol life is a truth rarely told. The families, often hidden from the flash of cameras, carry the emotional weight of global fame. Jungkook's mother had remained in the background for years. Fans knew her only through stories, how she encouraged Jungkook to follow his dream, how she bravely let him leave Busan at 15 to chase a future she couldn't guarantee. She never appeared on vlogs or live streams. Her love had always been silent, steady. And yet here she was, caught in the spotlight for just a fleeting minute, because one man understood how much that silence meant. The emotional ripple effect across fandom communities was immense. Thousands took to social media not just to celebrate the moment, but to share their own stories, of mothers who supported them quietly, of friends who stood in when family could not. Some fans said the scene gave them the courage to call their parents after years of distance. Others wrote letters. The Weverse comments section turned into a digital shrine of gratitude, sorrow, nostalgia. "This isn't just about BTS anymore," one fan posted. "This is about all of us." And that's exactly what makes BTS different. Time and again, their most iconic moments aren't staged for virality. They happen because of who they are. Jin didn't embrace Jungkook's mother for the cameras. In fact, it was obvious he didn't expect anyone to even notice. But armies notice everything. They've always seen through the glamour, past the filters. They've followed BTS not for the spectacle, but for the sincerity. And that's what this moment captured so vividly, the unfiltered bond between 7 young men who have become more like family and the people who shaped them behind the scenes. Industry insiders began to weigh in. Veteran K-pop journalist Lee Minhwa wrote in Dispatch, "Jin's gesture wasn't just touching, it was revolutionary. In a business built on image, he broke the wall. He reminded us that idols are human and that humanity is their strongest asset." International news outlets from BBC to Rolling Stone echoed the sentiment. Even celebrities unrelated to K-pop, Actors, authors, athletes shared the clip, marveling at its authenticity. What made it even more powerful was that Jin, often painted as the group's comic relief or visual, was the one to orchestrate it. While fans adore his humor, many forget he is also the eldest, the unofficial guardian of BTS. He's the one who stayed up late helping Jungkook settle into dorm life when he was still just a high schooler. The one who drove him to school when they had no staff. The one who, quietly and without fanfare, cooked meals when the group was struggling. That hug wasn't spontaneous. It was the culmination of 10 years of shared history, 10 years of watching the youngest grow up under his wing. And Jungkook? He may not have spoken a word during the scene, but his reaction said everything. Fans with sharp eyes noticed him walking slower after the performance, blinking more than usual, as if trying to hold something back. Later, during the group's final talk segment, his voice cracked ever so slightly as he thanked the people who made it possible for us to be here. He didn't name names. He didn't need to. Everyone knew. The next episode of Run BTS hinted that more behind-the-scenes footage from the concert would be released, teasing fans with snippets of emotional group moments backstage. Comments exploded. Will we see Jin talking with Jungkook's mom again? What was said between them? Did the other members know it would happen? The mystery only deepened the moment's magic. And fans, ever hungry for meaning, began crafting theories. Some believed Jin had promised Jungkook's mother long ago that he would look after him like a real hyung, and this was the symbolic fulfillment of that vow. Others wonder if she came to the show not just as a mother, but as someone who wanted to personally welcome Jin back from the army, a gesture of her own. The truth? Only they know. But perhaps it's the not knowing that keeps the moment so pure. Meanwhile, fan artists began creating illustrations of the embrace. Some showed Jin in his concert outfit, bowing gently, a cosmic swirl behind them. Others depicted Jungkook as a small child, cradled between his hyung and mother, with lyrics floating above. Love myself, love you. The fandom wasn't just responding, they were preserving, immortalizing, turning a gesture into myth. What makes BTS's story unlike any other is that it continues to evolve with their audience. Every concert, every lyric, every spontaneous tear on stage becomes part of a collective memory. Fans feel they've grown with the members. They've graduated with them, cried through their losses, cheered through their wins. And now, they've shared in a moment of familial love that transcended the usual script. SEO-wise, articles containing phrases like Jin emotional concert moment, Jungkook mother hug viral, and BTS heartwarming family scene skyrocketed in traffic. Google Trends registered a sharp spike in searches related to BTS Jin Jungkook's mom hug and what happened with Jin and Jungkook's mother? TikTok was flooded with slowed-down clips of the scene, layered with sad ballads or remixed instrumentals. YouTubers rushed to upload reaction videos. Even fan translators scrambled to subtitle every known interaction from the concert that night. And through it all, Big Hit remained silent. No press release. No social media acknowledgement. Just silence. A rare and powerful decision in an industry where almost everything is curated. They let the moment speak for itself. Now, with BTS members slowly returning from military service, moments like these will only grow more significant. Fans are bracing for the eventual full reunion. But if this emotional exchange between Jin and Jungkook's mother was any indication, the reunion won't just be a musical milestone, it will be a personal one, a healing one. Proof that the ties formed over a decade ago, in small studios and crowded dorms, have only strengthened with time. And so, as fans continue to relive that night in Seoul, pausing the footage, studying the faces, writing messages of thanks, a quiet realization sets in. This was more than a concert. It was a homecoming. Not just for Jin, but for everyone who's ever found family in unlikely places. Who's ever leaned on someone else's strength when their own ran dry? Who's ever whispered, "I see you," without needing to say it out loud that night? Jin didn't just return to the stage, he returned to us.